What happens if the 2020 presidential election is very close? Polls suggest that's a real possibility. Thankfully, the Constitution has a contingency plan for tie elections laid out in Article 2, Section 1. If there be more than one who have such majority, and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for president. The framers of the Constitution hoped that political parties wouldn't be necessary, given the limited powers of the federal government, but presidential candidates started coalescing into political factions as early as the 1796 election, the first after George Washington. Almost immediately, the existence of warring political parties created headaches for the Electoral College system. So, first understand what is Electoral College. The Founding Fathers of United States of America wrote the Constitution, which is the document which outlines how the United States would be run. They established something called the Electoral College to determine who becomes president. It works like this: each state has a certain number of electoral votes. When a person running for president wins that state, they receive the state's electoral votes. Each state has a certain number of electors. California has the most with 55, while Alaska, Delaware, Montana North and South Dakota and Wyoming have the least with 3. The number of electors is based on the population of that state. There are a total of 538 electoral votes, so a candidate would need to win 270, or a majority of that total, to become president. So if a person running for president wins enough states to get to 270 electoral votes, they become president. Sometime after the November election, all the electors get together to officially cast their vote for whoever won their state. That group of electors is called the Electoral College. Yes, in 1800. At the time there were fewer states, fewer people, and an odd rule where the winner of the election became president, and the second runner-up became vice president. That'd be a little awkward today. When the results came out, both Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr had received 73 electoral votes each. When the electoral votes were tallied in the 1800 U.S. presidential election, only the fourth election in the young nation's history, where candidates received exactly 73 electoral votes, producing the first electoral college tie in American history. If only it was that easy. A bitterly divided House of Representatives deadlocked 36 times before it finally picked Thomas Jefferson as the winner of the 1800 election, and catastrophe was narrowly averted. In the process laid bare a host of problems with the Electoral College that could only be fixed with a constitutional amendment. The 1800 election fiasco demonstrated how the existing Electoral College system wasn't equipped for party line voting. Just in time for the 1804 presidential election, Congress passed and the states ratified the 12th Amendment, which now instructed electors to cast one ballot for president and a second for vice president. The biggest difference the 12th Amendment brought was that when the House would vote on a tie for president, instead of states having a proportional number of votes, each state would only get one vote. So now, California's nearly 39 million person population equaled Wyoming's 580,000 in representation. Even though the Electoral College has been one of the most controversial institutions created by the framers, there have been over 700 attempts to amend or abolish it. Only a few of those attempts have borne fruit, the 12th Amendment being the first of those. In addition to creating separate ballots for president and vice president, the 12th Amendment also limited the field of presidential candidates that could be voted on in a contingent election in the House of Representatives. The amendment states that if no candidate wins the majority of electoral votes, the election is thrown to the House, but only the top 3 electoral vote getters make the cut. When the House is choosing the new president, the Senate picks the new vice president. Each of the 100 senators gets one vote, with a simple majority of 51 senators required to select the vice president. In the event of a tie in the selection of the president, the vice president-elect serves as acting president until the deadlock is resolved. In other words, the House has to keep voting until the tie is broken. If the Senate fails to break a 50-50 tie for Vice President II, the Presidential Succession Act of 1947 specifies that the Speaker of the House will serve as acting president until tie votes in both the House and Senate have been broken.